Perfectly Obstinate People with Kathy Kolbe shares stories of resilience, persistence, and defiance. Kathy Kolbe has empowered millions to trust their guts. Now Kathy empowers you to be you.
'Tis the season to be jolly, and the season to be frustrated, and the season to ask for lists you don't get, and the season to think you have the perfect gift and find out they already have it, or the season to just say, help, there's too much, I feel overload, I feel stress. Actually, I like the jolly part of it. I like giving gifts.
In her second podcast on Conative gift giving, Kathy helps you select gifts for some people who have a facilitator MO and offers some warnings about common mistakes when selecting gifts. You have a grandson who's a facilitator, who does not initiate in any modes. Difficult to find a gift for someone who's a mediator or a facilitator?
It's so funny you would ask. What he loves are gifts that he can pass on to others. He loves it when I go shopping to help him find the perfect thing for his girlfriend. He loves it when he gets something like tickets to the movie that he can share with friends. For one birthday, I gave a gift I frankly never would have thought to give to anybody else on the face of the earth, but a facilitator. You have to do it with others, and the fun is what the others do, and that is taking a group of others to ride on a Segway. We lived where there's a lot of outdoor stuff, and there's a Segway company, and so everybody lines up in these silly Segway things, and you just go around for the fun of it and look at each other being kind of goofy looking. And a whole string of Segways going down the park. He just had the best time, and he had a good time because he could invite several friends who had a good time. I did that for him when he was 18, and he's now in his 20s, and he and his friends never stopped talking about it. So for him, part of the fun of his birthdays was inviting some friends or giving something he could share with his friends then or later. The kinds of games I give him are always things to do with others. It would never be an individual game. The facilitator, it's all about, well, can other people do it with me? How do we deal with what people resist and therefore you don't want to do that? Well, if a person is resistant and fact-finder, do not give them books. They probably don't read that much, and when they do, it's for a specific reason.
Books?
Yeah.
Books for Christmas? What the heck is that?
So unless you know there's a type of book that a resistant fact-finder is interested in, don't do that. With follow-through, again, people are always trying to reform follow-through. People, whether they're insistent or resistant, for some reason, the world is not, just leave me alone and let me be whatever level follow-through I am. Resistant follow-throughs tend to miss meetings, not show up on time for a date, have clutter in their surrounding. People try to organize them.
We're going to start off with our first gift suggestion, and this is our Life Documents Organizer Kit. This has been a real popular product this year. Now, what's great about this also, it comes with a guide called The Wheel of Organization.
Do not think of this in bold caps in your brain. Do not give a resistant follow-through things to help them be more organized. Nothing that says, I'm disapproving of who you are, and therefore I hope this helps. It's just like the school marm under the Christmas tree. The resistant quick start standardizes and is so good at helping prevent chaos. If you give that person that thing you think will add spark, make them have more fun, open more doors. So it's a surprise gift, and inside is a ticket to something they've never done before. They've probably never done it before because they never wanted to do it.
Hold on now. Your mother hasn't opened my present yet. Beauty, isn't she?
Well, it's hard for me to judge, since I've never bowled in my life.
Well, if you don't want it, I know someone who does.
And you thinking this is going to open their minds or help them learn about something, just don't do that. Gifts shouldn't be about trying to reform people or change them. It should be a gift that helps them be who they are. So with the resistant implementer, oh, please, 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 don't make it so clear that you're fed up that they don't fix anything. Don't give them tools. I mean, the implementer needs the tools and wants really high quality tools. The resistant implementer hates that they ever have to use a tool. And those tools that do everything, some people think, well, this is perfect for him because he doesn't have any quality tools. If he had one of those gizmos, well, he's going to lose it. It will get lost because he doesn't want to have it. And I say he because it's very gender stereotyped. And that's one of the things that happens with gifts, is a whole lot of stereotyping by MO and by gender. Why do we think men need tools?
Hi, welcome to Gifts for Impossible Men 2018. This is a cute little doodad, and it is a magnetic wristband. It's a wristband you just wear on your wrist. Obviously, it has magnets, very strong magnets all the way around it, and you can stick all of your screws and nuts and bolts and whatever you're working with at the moment. It just sticks right onto it, so you don't misplace them, they don't roll away, and you don't end up with less than you started with. So I think this is a great idea.
There are as many women who are implementer as men. So think about the fact that if you have an implementer female of any age, that's a great person to give a tool. Or they're very drawn toward animals too. So give them a pet. Don't give a resistant implementer, resistant follow-through a pet. Don't do it. Just remember, there isn't a thing you do well that you don't do the way you naturally do it. So forget all the things you've been told about being naughty and nice. You're at your best when you do it your way. So how do you shop? Well, if you're shopping for holidays, they're stressed. So you're shopping, but you're shopping under a little bit of stress depending, and it gets more stressful the more you work against your grain. So for the fact finder, what I find is the stress is they're supposed to be appropriate, they think. They are appropriate. They need to be appropriate. And yet people don't send them the list. And if they don't get the list, how do they know they're giving the appropriate, the right gift? So they pour through catalogs. They read and see what's the latest, greatest gift for this type person. And they try very hard to get people things that are practical, things that are appropriate. And if they're looking at the other person's MO, they're trying to fit that in with that, and it gets very complex. Since they make things complex because that's what they do, their list can get really, really hard for anybody else to comprehend. You know, why on earth are you making this so hard? But for them, it's a matter of, I've got everybody listed. I know what it is they want, or I know who hasn't told me. I have a strategy, and so here's how I'm going to make it work. And the strategy is usually something that deals with priorities. The top priority are these people, whether they state that or not. Fact finders always deal with priority. They love the term priority male or priority this, or we're on top of that. And they will seek out the places that tend to give the classic service. So the way that they transport it would be through typical ways. They will also go to standard stores. They'll tend to go to shopping centers rather than little out-of-the-way shops. And they will tend to ask things like, well, what's selling best? What are most people buying? I hear them ask a lot of questions of salespeople. And I find that very intriguing. Because, of course, the salespeople don't know the people that they're buying for, but they do know what's selling. So that's an important thing for fact finders. Does that make sense to you? What else do you want to know about fact finders?
Well, online searching, I think, is probably pretty big these days with fact finders, rather than talking to them.
Okay. Well, the online search for the fact finder is a blessing because they need all this information, and woohoo, you get ratings. I mean, they really love the fact that there is an evaluation because they're big on that. Other people have rated whether this is a good product. You can read the reviews. That's a big help to a fact finder. And when they're given a choice, do you want to know by price? Do you want to know by this or that category? They will often pick by the highest rated gifts. That's what matters first. For the follow-through, the catalog is also great because they can look at everything and make some comparisons. For the fact finder, that comparison is this site to that site price. So they'll find something I want to buy that. This is something I have on my list to give. I'm going to look at it in 3 different places and see which one gives me the best price. So comparative shopping helps them. The follow-through is looking at it in terms of comparing the speed with which they'll get it, so they're sure to have it before the holiday. Sometimes the fact finder forgets to look at that. They'll look at who is the vendor. Is it going to come directly from where I'm buying, or is it going to be a third party? Follow-throughs tend not to trust that third party because they want to know who they're working with directly. And it's as if they have a flow chart in their head. And if that flow chart has too many stops or too many places where something can go wrong, they won't choose it. That's why for a follow-through, a flight that is nonstop is very, very important to them. Fewer chances of something going wrong or something changing. The follow-through is also looking for someone who will package nicely and where it's less likely to come damaged. Nobody wants anything broken or damaged, but they're aware of there's a standard way they ship. There's a standard. The word standard and standardizing is really important to the follow-through. They will have a list way early. They tend to shop, the follow-through insistent person does, ahead of other people. Well, that's because their nature is to make a list and check things off, and that's how they see progress. That's how they view their productivity. And they're very purposeful about their lists. So they may use an online list to help them, but they surely will have things in some form of a list that they can track, that they can see where things are. And it helps them a lot if they start ahead of time and they don't have that last-minute crisis, because that's really uncomfortable for them. And they need time to do the nice wrapping, and they need time to do the presentation of the gifts. For the quick start, it's the last-minute buy, and they're looking for the hot deal, the smoking deal, oh boy, this, and Black Friday, that's too soon. That's maybe a good deal if I get there in the middle of the night, and they're probably the ones that are there in the middle of the night. But they're also the ones that will play the game of waiting till the last minute. So Christmas Eve shopping, I think if you took the Kolbe and handed it to people, you would find a very high percent of the shoppers on Christmas Eve are quick start. I once went to the mall on Christmas Eve just for the fun of seeing what was being said, who was there, and chatting with people. And I came away just with this sense of, yep, most of those people were quick start. And it was almost like a party game with the members of the family who did that with me after Christmas Eve meal at our house. So when we look at how you shop, the quick starts are the most obvious, always trying to get the discount, always trying to cut the deal, being there last minute, looking for the unusual, the leftover, okay, this lovely little petunia and an onion patch is just right. Implementers will be making more than shopping, and when they shop, they will tend to need to be in the store when there are fewest people there. They need peace and calm and quiet, and they need to be able to handle the things. So while Quick Starts, I didn't mention, but this is pretty obvious. I mean, they are online buyers. They don't have to feel it or touch it to decide to get it. They'll make the Quick Kit says you have 32 seconds before this hot deal is going to be gone, and they hardly looked at what it was. That just sounds like, well, I got to do it. They're the easiest ones to get to make a fast, urgent decision. So setting up urgency gets them to decide faster. When it comes to implementers, it's the opposite. They are least likely to buy online. They are most likely to need to go to the store. Unlike the fact finder that will go to several stores or several departments and compare, the implementer isn't going to take the time to go back and forth and look at similar things and compare prices. They're likely to go to the one place they trust the most. They have a few trusted vendors and stores or places online. They know the brand, they know the quality, they know they can count on it, and they will go back there. It's a loyalty to quality. But they'll hem and haw about whether this is exactly the right tool because they need to know what the person has. They need to know what they're doing and which tool would be the right fit for that project. So they tend to try to get more hands-on sense of what would work. And it's very frustrating to them if they don't know the company and they don't know the quality. For instance, buying a jacket. They can't imagine buying a jacket through mail order or online because you got to feel the texture. You got to put it on and see if it's comfortable. You got to see if it's well made. You got to look at the seams. So for them, it is a trip to a store, but not to necessarily a mall. It's to the specialty place or the known place. And it's a decision based on, I want to be absolutely sure I'm right that this has quality.
Is there a gift that you can give that, say you don't know someone's MO? Are there gifts that are sort of like safe?
The most generic thing you can give people is food. Everybody eats. Everybody loves some kind of food. It's an affect. It's not a conative. How you eat is conative, but not what. So that's why the gifts of food and chocolate, and I don't believe in using alcohol to reduce stress, but for the fun of it, yeah. So again, I am never going to encourage anybody, if you have stress, drink, because that's not dealing with the cause of the stress, which is often conative strain, because people are trying to make you into something you're not, or you're trying to do it to yourself. But a really nice bottle of wine for some people is a very nice gift, used well. I mean, again, it's the singular, excellent, chosen for you thing. I would find very little joy in giving a standardized gift. Anytime you're good with food, you have it made, because people love getting food. Food is a wonderful gift. But I think it depends upon your MO, what kind of food you make and how you cook it. Do you want to do something you have to stir a long time and make into just the right consistency? That's going to be implementer. Do you need to follow a very carefully done recipe? That's follow through. Throw it together and see what happens and package it in a cute little package and have fun making a little poem with it. I mean, that's more quick start. Make it up as you go. All of that's good. And the fact finder traditional, I always make fruitcake. I mean, there are people whose food I wouldn't necessarily go out and buy, but I love and cherish it because it's them. It's all about them. They gave of themselves. That's different than buying a sweater because you love it. It's not what you buy then. It's what you make or what you give that came from your effort. And I think people who know you would cherish that no matter what your MO was. I think people put far too much weight on, but it has to be the perfect gift. The perfect gift is one that shows the affection and the sentiment you mean for it to show.
If you want to discover your conative gifts or the conative talents of those on your gift list, go to www.kolbe.com. That's KOLBE.com. Thanks for listening to Perfectly Obstinate People with Kathy Kolbe. Make sure you subscribe today so you don't miss an episode. It's easy, 100% free, and 100% Kathy. Visit perfectlyobstinate.com for more. That's perfectlyobstinate.com.